Ahora. Pronto.
Yalla!
Rápido!
I got time for a quickie.
Big shout out to Vox Cinemas Qatar. They legit have the best theater in the country at Doha Festival City. And make sure you're following them on social media at Vox Cinemas Qatar. Now on with the review. Richard Jewell is a 2019 biopic drama directed by Clint Eastwood, written by Billy Ray and Marie Brenner, shot by Yves Bellinger, cut by Joel Cox, with music by Arturo Sandoval. Its runtime is 131 minutes and it is rated R. It stars Paul Walter Hauser, Sam Rockwell, Kathy Bates, Olivia Wilde, and John Hamm. Richard Jewell is a true story, about Richard Jewell. He was a former police officer who was working security during the 1996 Olympics. He located a suspicious package. They then cleared out the perimeter, but the problem is the media and the FBI then blamed him. They made him the scapegoat. And as we know, especially in this day and age, nothing says America like guilty until proven innocent. So the movie establishes early on who Richard is. He was a smart person. The media portrayed him like he was dumb, but he wasn't. He really knew his stuff. He was very well versed in all the protocols and the laws and everything else. And he was an earnest guy. He just wanted to do the right thing. He wanted to help people. He wanted to protect people, which again, in this day and age, gets people taken advantage of. The movie really takes its time to introduce and build up all of the characters so that every single thing that all of these different characters do to one another really has an impact. And that's why this movie really works. There's not a lot of action. It is character driven. It is a narrative that revolves around their decisions and reactions. I really love the fact that Paul Walter Hauser got to be the lead actor in this movie. Not only does he look and sound like Richard Jewell, but every movie or show that he's ever been in that I've seen, he has stolen every single scene that he is part of. If you want to see what I'm talking about, I highly recommend the show Kingdom and of course BlacKkKlansman. This is definitely a 90s movie. But once you get past the 90s nostalgia and the hilarity of what some of the things were at that time, you really start to notice how serious the buildup and the execution of the bombing is. It is so well done. It is just really, really tense. And because that buildup is so drawn out and well executed and tense, when the bombing actually happens, it scared the hell out of me and I jumped way high out of my seat. Now, because I was a paramedic and firefighter for 10 years, I know what a mass casualty incident looks like. I've been on several mass casualty incidents. I've seen what happens, how people act, how law enforcement and firefighters act, and this movie gets it so right. Now, of course, after the incident, when everything was cleared up and people realized what Richard Jewell had done, a lot of people took interest in him. And in the movie, when they show Richard Jewell being interviewed after the bombing, it's his actual interview. It's the real footage of Richard Jewell, which is great because the guy deserves the recognition. He did a great thing. Not only does it show how accurate Paul Walter Hauser's portrayal of Richard Jewell is, it again shows respect and gives credit to Richard Jewell. And of course, whether it was back in the day or now, there's always going to be bad reporters, there's going to be bad cops, bad FBI agents who do something for recognition or do it for the convenience of just getting something done. And again, that's what actually happened to this guy. They ruined his life. And it took him a long time to get his life back together. But he never fully recovered, man. They just ruined him. And they did it through lazy reporting and lazy police work. And they really show that in the movie. A lot of people are being defensive about the way things are portrayed in the movie and stuff. One of the things they don't go into in the movie is all of these court cases that Richard Jewell ended up winning or settling out of court for. All of these people were in the wrong. Whether it was the college that he worked at, the reporters, or the FBI itself. But enough about the politics for now. I mean, it is a political movie, so I have to touch on it. What really matters about this movie is the performances. It's the balance of that heart and that humor and that sadness. Everything is just weaved together really well. So, in one scene you might be sad and you might shed a tear, but then Richard does something, or, one of the other characters that's on his side does something and it makes you laugh. And those relationships are key to this film and, of course, to the real story of Richard. Those people around him are what kept him going. And he did the same thing for them when they started to lose hope sometimes. Now, the beginning is a little scattershot. It takes you a second to kind of get your footing and to figure out what all is going on because it's fairly rapid fire. Now, part of the reason for that is because when I saw the movie, there were 6 cuts for censorship. Now, it wasn't anything to do with kissing or nudity. nudity, it was certain things that were said by people. But that did make the beginning part a little disjointed, but not so much that it ruined the movie. And after that, it was fine. Some people might watch the movie and they'll feel it's a bit heavy-handed, or that certain parts feel convenient for Richard's side or the cop's side, but that's kind of how things fell into place. Now, of course, there's going to be some stuff that was dramatized, but they did have people who were involved in the case on set to guide them and to keep them on the straight and narrow. And even though the movie is 131 minutes, it doesn't feel like it. It goes by pretty quick. And this isn't some like fast-paced action movie. It's just really well-paced drama. It's all about heart. It's about what it's like to be a person who has everything going against him and just really wants to make a difference. Even after all of this stuff is happening, you know, some of the things that he does, he's just such a good person at heart. It really gets him screwed, and you know, it breaks your heart when you watch it. Not a lot of movies like this these days get the acclaim that it received. You know, they don't get released in theaters a lot of times. They go to streaming or straight to DVD or video on demand. And that's because all of these studios and the movie theaters are relying on these big tentpole projects. And I think that's because there's more of a casual viewership in the culture today. Casual moviegoers don't want to go see something like Richard Jewell. They want to go see Captain America. There's nothing wrong with those movies, but you need to balance it out. You should be seeing some smaller stuff. You should be supporting independent stuff. You should be watching stuff that challenges you. And this movie definitely does. As jaded as I am and as much as I have seen, I still got swept up in the emotion and the performances. You know, and I did shed a tear. I did laugh. You know, this movie really hit me in the heart, and that's what it's supposed to do. So with all that being said, what is my score? Drum roll, please. 8 out of 10.